A new chapter. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, greetings to all people listening inside or outside. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai. Shambhaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So we're reading from the 15th chapter. The Lord accepts prasadam in the house, at the house of Sabhabhoma Bhattacharya. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taking prasadam at the house of Sabhabhoma Bhattacharya, Amoga criticized him. Still, the Lord accepted Moga, and therefore showing how much he was obliged to his devotees. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Chandra. All glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Jai Sri Caitanya Caritamrita Shrota Gata Gana Caitanya Caritamrita Yagnara Pranadana. So text number 3. All glories to the listeners of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita who have accepted it as their life and soul. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at Jagannath Puri, he constantly enjoyed chanting and dancing with his devotees. In the beginning of the day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the deity of Lord Jagannath in the temple. He offered him his obeisances and prayers and danced before him. After visiting the temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would remain outside during the Upala Bhoga offering. He would then go to meet Haridas Thakur and return to his residence. Purport. At noon, when there is the Upala Bhoga offering in the place called the Bhogavardhana Kanda, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will go outside the temple. Before going outside, he used to stand near the Garuda Stamba column and offer his prayers and obeisances. Afterward, the Lord would visit Siddhabokul, where Haridas Thakur lived. After visiting Haridas Thakur, the Lord would return to his own place at the abode of Kashi Mishra. That's Kumbhira. Sitting in his room, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would chant on his beads, and Advaita Prabhu would come there and worship the Lord. While worshipping, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Acharya, would offer him scented water to wash his mouth and feet. Then Advaita Acharya would smear very fragrant sandalwood pulp all over his body. Sri Advaita Prabhu would place a flower garland around the Lord's neck and place tulsi manjaris on his head. Then, with folded hands, Advaita Acharya would offer obeisances and prayers unto the Lord. Advaita Acharya, when he was worshipping and calling the Lord to come, this is how he did it. He would offer flower manjaris to his shalagram and offer his prayers and obeisances in the form. After being worshipped by Sri Advaita Acharya, Sri Advaita Acharya, he was worshipping at Shantipur. Shantipur is about 1 hour's drive from Mayapur. But it was there where his house was, that on the bank of the Ganga he would worship the Lord with loud calls and the offering of Tulsi Manjaris. And also the same thing he did when he moved to Mayapur. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Mayapur. Advaita Acharya went to Mayapur. He would also call out the Lord's name very loudly to come, as seeing they're the only Saviour. If the Lord personally comes himself, he's the only person who can save everyone. So when he went to Mayapur also, he would continue that worship. His house was here just behind Mahaprabhu's house, Advaita Bhavan. And there also he worshipped loudly, calling the names Lord loudly, for the Lord to come and make his descent here. So Advaita has, how much faith Advaita had that simply by chanting the Lord's name and offering Tulsi, that would be sufficient to call the Lord. And Advaita Acharya practiced that, and he was successful. The Lord actually came to be because of the loud calling of Lord Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya, he's famous for two things. One is his calling of the Lord. He asked the Lord to descend. And the other one is second. And he's bringing the science of devotional service to this planet. So he brought the science of devotional service. So now we have service, we know who the Lord is, and we have service to the Lord. Sambandha, we know the Lord, and the Abhideya, the process of devotional service. So this is why Advaita Acharya is glorified, for bringing the Lord and the process of worshipping the Lord. Which, when is matured, when the devotional attitude is matured, then the Lord reveals himself. That is what's the word again? Prayojana, or the perfection. Krishna came by the loving calls of Advaita Acharya. That is perfection. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, after being worshipped by Sri Advaita Acharya, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would take a dish containing flowers and tulsi, and with whatever paraphernalia remained, he worshipped Advaita Acharya. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would worship Advaita Acharya by chanting the mantras. By chanting the mantra, whatever you are, but I offer my obeisances unto you. Sounds like a bit like Mayavadi slogan or something. Whoever you are, but you are my worship. You are my but I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. In addition, the Lord would make some sounds with his mouth, and he would make Advaita Acharya laugh. I don't know what the sounds were. Anybody knows? Text 12. In this way, Advaita Acharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would offer their obeisances to each other. Then Advaita would extend an invitation to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again. Indeed, Advaita Acharya's invitation is another wonderful story. It has been very vividly described by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Since Advaita Acharya's invitation had been described by Vrindavan Das Thakur, I shall not repeat the story. But I shall say that other devotees also extended invitations to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day, one devotee after another would invite Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other devotees to lunch, and he would also hold a festival. All the devotees remained at Jagannath Puri for 4 continuous months, and they observed the Lord Jagannath's festivals with great pleasure. The devotees celebrated the festival of Jagannath's birthday, which is also called Nanda Mahotsav, the festival of Nanda Maharaj. At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees dressed themselves as cowherd boys. At that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees dressed themselves as cowherd boys. So we can dress. Every festival we see the kids, at least the kids, young kids, they all dress up as Krishna and Balaram, blue devotees, yellow devotees. Become cowherd boys to remind everyone of Krishna and Balaram. But Srila Prabhupada did say, what we're saying here, but he did say that you know the ankle bells, the big ones, thick ones, called Janga. Is it Janga? Janga. They're tight around the ankle, but they're big bells. And they Janga, 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 with their, by stepping up and down, making these Janga, Janga, Janga. And Prabhupada said that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to wear these in the kirtan. He personally also wore, and the devotees they wore. And Prabhupada said, you should wear these, especially in the kirtan, Sandhyarti, Kiba Jaya Jaya Gaura. You can wear these, and when you're dancing and chanting Gaurati. And devotees did it. They did. They put them around their ankles, those big jangas. Pavananda, Sudama, Maharaj. Few Maharajas, they were into it in the beginning. It didn't last long, but at least they started doing it for the Sandhyarti. We can start again. Having dressed up like cowherd boys, all the devotees carried pots of milk and yogurt balanced on rods over their shoulders. You see them on bamboo, and pot is hanging each side and moves a little bit when they're walking. Thus they arrived at the festival ground, chanting the holy name of Hari, Hari. Text 18. Having dressed up like cowherd boys, all the devotees carried pots of milk and yogurt. We read that. Kanani Kotiya dressed himself like Nanda Maharaj, and Jagannath Mohiti dressed himself as Mother Jasoda. At that time, King Prataparudra was also personally present with Kashi Mishra, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and Tulsi Padicapatra. As usual, Caitanya Mahaprabhu danced jubilantly. Everyone was covered with milk, yogurt, and yellow turmeric water. What did they use that for? Splashing around. They danced jubilantly, covered with milk, yogurt, and turmeric powder. At this time, Advaita Acharya said, "Please do not be angry. I speak the truth. I shall know that you are a cowherd boy only if you can wheel this rod around." They had sticks, rod, and they moved them on their fingers sometimes, spinning round and round. They change fingers like that. The rod goes through the fingers. They can, when they're expert. So they have so many holes for these rods. So the typical pastime of the cowboys. That's all they got to do. They walk through the forest and make sure the cows don't go away. They're playing. Look how good he is. Well, you watch this one. They spin it in the air and catch it. Doesn't stop moving. Having a good time. This is exhibited in the in the Nitya Leela of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. After his morning prayers and everything, he comes with all the. At 9 o'clock in the morning, he leaves home after breakfast, and with all the devotees doing Harinam Sankirtan, and they start to proceed down to by not Godrum. First they come out and they go down to. What's the other side? Like where Jayadev's place. Pitukund. No, they go down. Past Ganga's toll. Gangadas's toll. His school is there. Ganga Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teacher, and school was there. They go down that side, doing Harinam Sankirtan, and it's early in the morning, and all the white cows are going around, and there's peacocks and everything. They're all making different sounds. Hambia, and meow, 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 meow. These the peacocks. They can hear all these and see all these cows. Then Mahaprabhu gets in the mood of a cowherd boy, and he picks up a stick and he starts whirling it around. And they go, hey, 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 let's go to Govardhan, let's go to Govardhan. And everyone, what's happening with Mahaprabhu? What's happening? Oh, he's gone into his mood as a Shakaras, a cowherd boyfriend. So we have to serve him in that mood. They all take on the same mood, and they start picking up sticks and spinning and throwing in the air in imitation all the animals. Kangai, Jamunai. The cows, different cows, again, calling them back. That's an early morning pastime. At that time, Advaita Acharya said, "Please do not be angry. I speak the truth. I should know that you are a cowherd boy only, if you can wield this rod about." Accepting Advaita Acharya's challenge, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a big rod and began to wheel it around and around. Again and again, he threw the rod into the sky, and he caught it when it fell. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wheeled the rod. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wheeled and threw the rod, sometimes over his head, sometimes behind his neck, and sometimes by his side, sometimes between his legs, go up one side and go up the other. And all the people laughed to see this. When the same thing was expressed after that from Gangadas's toll, Mahaprabhu goes over to Godroma-dvipa, the island of the trees and cows. And none different than nandagrams. There are many cows in that area, Godroma-dvipa. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sees all the boys, they're all playing, they go, Nimai, come and play with us, come on. And they say to him also at that time, Nimai, you're not a Brahman. You're not a Brahman boy. You are one of us. You come every day and play with us. You're not a Brahman. We want to see you. You come early tomorrow and my mum will make some kheer and yogurt. Sweet. So even Godrum, they're calling you, you're not a Brahmani, you're one of us, you're a cowboy. In Ghosh. Accepting Mahaprabhu's challenge, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took a big rod and began to wheel it around and around. Again and again he threw the rod into the sky and he caught it when it fell. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu whirled the rod in a circle like a firebrand. The heart of everyone who saw it was astonished. Like when you have a firebrand, a stick or something with the burning one end, you can spin it around. And you can just. It's a complete circle. It becomes a complete circle of light.
Rings of fire.
Huh?
Like rings of fire.
Rings of fire. There's many, yeah. They can also do many circles. But the idea is that when you spin it, it becomes one continuous fire. Right. They have something in Jagannath Puri now, before the rat, someone is there doing something.
Yeah.
That's spinning some kind of...
Balls and balls with ribbons.
Balls?
With ribbons. So when they go around, it looks like
Oh,
colors.
yeah. Even today, now, right, it's during Rath Yatra festival, they're still spinning those with... Not fire, is it? Not fire. Colored balls. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu whirled his rod in a circle like a firebrand, the heart of everyone saw it was astonished. Nityananda Prabhu also played at whirling the rod. Who can understand how they were enthusiastic, immersed in the deep emotions of cowherd boys? Like that. Nityananda Prabhu also played at whirling the rod. Who can understand how these were ecstatically immersed in the deep emotion of the cowboys? Shakyaras. Krishna is going from one ras to another now, entered into a Shakyaras with boys and the calves and herding cows. Goshtalila, yes. Following the order of Prataparudra, the temple superintendent named Tulasi bought some of Lord Jagannath's used clothes. The valuable cloth was wrapped around the head of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and the other devotees, headed by Advaita Acharya, also had cloths wrapped around their heads. Mahaprasad cloth you should wrap around your head, especially if one's worshipful deity or guru. And it shouldn't go here and there, it should be respected. And you can see one's worshipful deity or worshipful guru when you see it. But this cloth is from such and such. Prized item for the devotee that they can wrap Mahaprasad of Guru around their head. In ecstasy, Kanai Kutiya, who was dressed as Nanda Maharaj, and Jagannath Mistry, who was dressed as Mother Jashoda, distributed all the riches they had in stock at home. Oh, they're generous. They distributed all the riches that they had stocked at home. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is that the king? No. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was greatly satisfied to see this, accepting them as his father and mother. He offered them obeisances. But this is real. This isn't the small boys dressed up like Bhamana did. This, of course, Bhamana Dev is Bhamana Dev. But he accepted them as his mother and father. They were dressed up like that, and he accepted them as a mother and father. He offered them obeisances. In great ecstasy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Gauranga Sundara, performed various pastimes.
He's a perfect candidate for the drama. Lord himself.
Yeah. So I come up the other day that some places they dress a boy and girl up as Radha and Krishna, and they worship them. Generally during the Ras Leela, people come and put pin notes, 5 rupee note, 1 rupee note, 10 rupee note. Little boy and girl are standing there, covered in notes, pinned on their cloth. But the controversy was that the conclusion or the idea was that they're not Radha and Krishna, but apparently Prabhupada said they dress them as they're dressed as Radha and Krishna, and actually at that time Radha and Krishna are there and they worship. But some people say no, it's not a Prabhupada statement. It's not there. But here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accepting them as his mother and father, he offered them obeisances. In great ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence. In this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Goshunda, performed various pastimes. Text 32. One day, performing the conquest of Lanka, a day known as Vijay Dashami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed up all his devotees as monkey soldiers. Maybe that's why people don't like the idea of dressing up. They may dress me up as a monkey. Displaying his emotions of Hanuman, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took up a large tree branch and mounted the walls of Lanka fort and began to dismantle it. In the ecstasy of Hanuman, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu angrily said, "Where is that rascal Ravana? He has kidnapped the universal mother Sita. Now I shall kill him and all his family." Everyone became very much astonished to see the emotional ecstasy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And everyone began to chant, "Oh glorious, Jaya, Jaya," again and again. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees participated in the festivals including Rasa Yatra, Deepavali, and Uttana Ekadasi. Purport. The Deepavali festival takes place on the dark moon night in the month of Kartik, October-November. The Ras Leela or Ras dancing of Krishna takes place on the full moon night of the month of Uttana Ekadasi. Takes place the day after Ekadasi in the waxing fortnight of the moon in the same month. All the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu participated in these festivals.
Participate?
Participated.
How do you participate?
How did?
Rasa Yatra.
Oh, in the evening, all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu participated in all these festivals. And you're asking, what is the festival for Vijaya, for Uttana Ekadasi?
Rasa Yatra.
Well, that we know. That's very common. In Vrindavan, so many Rasa Leela groups.
But how did Mahaprabhu celebrate it?
He said he observed the celebration. No, they probably had natak. Even today they have natak, dancing. Ibrash, certain circular rings. So even today they have it. Julan Yatra you see a lot. In Vrindavan. But how do you observe Uttana Dwadasi? Takes place after the Ekadasi in the waxing fortnight in the moon in the same month. All the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu participated in this festival. So some kind of worship will go on, some kind of respect they'll absorb the I don't know if they'll observe the Ekadasi like everybody else. We fast from grains and everything. In Puri, they don't fast from grains. They have a deity there, Ekadasi Devi, deity. When the Ekadasi is coming up, they tie the deity up. They tie her up so she can't manifest her presence for the Ekadasi, because their love for Jagannath and Jagannath Prasadam is greater than the fasting and observing festival. So they tie her up so she can't stop the devotees. That's one aspect of the festival is Uttanakadasi and taking prasad. So they probably have other things going on that day. Yeah, so therefore Caitanya Mahaprabhu in the 25th, Madhya Leela, 25. Caitanya Mahaprabhu was telling Sanatana Goswami how to write the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And he says they should also describe festivals, should not fail to perform these different festivals like Janmashtami, Ramanavami, like these ones he's mentioned here. So if you read the Hari Bhakti Vilas, you will see how there are certain rules and everything that they observe during the Uttanakadasi. Uttanna means rolling over, is it?
Getting up.
Getting up. After 2 months.
After Snan Yatra is Sayan Ekadashi, and before Bhishma Panchak is Uttan Ekadashi. Lord Mahavishnu wakes up.
And he rolls over.
That comes in between.
Oh, it's in between. Anyway, different festivals to observe. And so Caitanya Mahaprabhu observed all these festivals. We just read how he observed the Hera Panchami. It was an attack, and all the devotees were watching them, laughing. Lakshmi getting angry. All the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu participated in all these festivals. One day, the two brothers, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, consulted with each other while sitting together in a solitary place. No one could understand what the brothers discussed between themselves. But later all the devotees could guess what the subject matter was. Thereafter Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called all the devotees and asked them to return to Bengal. In this way he bade farewell to all of them. Not all of them. He bade farewell to them, bidding farewell to all the devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested them to return to Jagannath Puri every year to see him and then see the cleaning of the Gundicha temple. With great respect, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested Advaita Acharya give Krishna consciousness, devotion to Krishna, even to the lowest of men, the Chandalas. Purport. In the Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order to all the devotees, Krishna Bhakti. Devotion to Krishna is open to everyone, even low-class men like Chandalas. One should follow this order in the disciplic succession system coming from Advaita and Nityananda Prabhu, and distribute Krishna consciousness without discrimination throughout the world. There are different kinds of men, beginning with the Brahmanas and going down to the lowest platform known as Chandalas. Whatever one's position, everyone in this age of Kali needs to be enlightened in Krishna consciousness. That is the greatest need of the day. Everyone is actually feeling pangs of material existence. Even in the ranks and files of the American Senate, and the pinpricks of material existence are felt so much so that on April 30th, 1974, was actually set aside as a prayer day. So everyone is feeling the resultant pinpricks of Kali Yuga brought about by the human society indulging in illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, intoxication. Now is the time for the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to distribute Krishna Bhakti all over the world, and thus follow the order of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord has ordered everyone to become a guru. Caitanya Caritamrita Madhya 7:1-8. Amara Agyaya Guru Hana Tara Hitesh. Everyone in every town and village of the world should be enlightened by the instructions of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna consciousness should be distributed to everyone indiscriminately. In this way the entire world will be peaceful and happy, and everyone will glorify Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu as he desires. The word Chandala refers to a dog-eater who is considered to be the lowest of men. Even Chandalas can be enlightened in Krishna consciousness due to Caitanya Mahaprabhu's benediction. Krishna Bhakti is not the monopoly of a certain caste. Everyone is enabled to receive this great benediction given by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Everyone should be given a chance to receive it and be happy. The word dana means charity. It is also significant in this verse. Whoever engages in distribution of Krishna consciousness is a charitable person. Professional men recite Srimad Bhagavatam and discuss Krishna Katha for an exchange of money. They cannot distribute such exalted, transcendental property to everyone and anyone. Only pure devotees who have no motive other than serving Krishna can give such transcendentally valuable benedictions without charity. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ordered, 42. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu, go to Bengal and, without restriction, manifest devotional service to the Lord, Krishna consciousness. Purport. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu had ordered Nityananda Prabhu to deliver all the Bengalis to devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:32, the Lord says, Mamhi Padya Vyaspridya Ye Pisha Papa Jonya Sriya Vaishas Katha Shruto Te Yo Yanti Param Gatim. O Lord, O Son of Prita, those who take shelter of me, though he may be of a lower birth, woman, Vaishya, merchants, and Shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. Whoever takes to Krishna consciousness and follows the regular principles can return home back to Godhead. In his Anubhashya, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he writes, there's a class of so-called devotees called Prakritiya Sahajiyas who think that Nityananda Prabhu is an ordinary human being. They have spread the news that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu declared Nityananda Prabhu to return to Bengal from Orissa just to get married, just to marry and beget children. This is certainly a great offense to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. The Prakriya Sahajas think that Mahaprabhu was an ordinary person, and Nityananda was an ordinary person, and Mahaprabhu ordered him to return to Bengal just to marry and beget children. But Mahaprabhu told Nityananda, you go and preach. Nityananda Prabhu said, I cannot leave you. I cannot leave you. But eventually he Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you should go. Who will do the preaching in Bengal if you don't go? So he sent him there for preaching. And then he said to him that you should get married. Mahaprabhu said to Nityananda, you should get married. Not simply to have children, but to show that you can be happy in Krishna consciousness. Without wife, it's difficult for an ordinary person. So it should show this fact that it's better to live in the material world, to get along in the material world, if you have a wife. There's much less disturbance. So to show Nityananda Prabhu that stay where you are, Sthanastiti, stay where you are. But just become Krishna conscious. So you don't have to leave household life, you don't have to go to the Himalayas, you don't have to do austerities or anything like that. You stay where you are, you do your service, and you can become a responsible grihastha. And then you forget about what is the worry. To worry in the material world, the sex desire is very powerful. So the marriage license is there. So you can forget about it. Forget about something is there already to fulfill these desires, and then you continue in your service. So he did it as a preaching to show common people it's difficult to remain celibate all the time. So you should get married and show people. So he got married. Birabhadra is the incarnation of Kiradakshai Vishnu. He got married. Everyone gets married. Ramchandra. Of course, these are eternal consorts. But to show generally how to live in society, then Prabhupada says, man needs woman, woman needs man. So they are setting the example. So it's not that the Nitai wanted to go, they say Nitai wanted to go back to and act like an ordinary human being. So just to get married and have children. He's a transcendental Lord, he doesn't need, and he doesn't even need to get married if he wants. Krishna's got billions and billions of girlfriends, he's not married. In the form of Krishna and in the form of Dwarkanath, he's got millions and millions of wives. So Krishna is showing us how to live in the material world more easily, more comfortable. Hare Krishna. So this is certainly a great offense against Nityananda Prabhu. Such an offense is called Pashanda Bhuti, or atheistic remark, or an atheistic remark. Offenders considered Nityananda Prabhu to be like one of them, an ordinary human being. They do not know of Nityananda Prabhu's identity. Such an offense is called apashanda buddhi, or an atheistic remark. Offenders consider Nityananda Prabhu to be like one of them, as an ordinary human being. They do not know of Nityananda Prabhu's identity with the Vishnu Tattva. Thinking Nityananda Prabhu to be an ordinary human being is the business of the mental speculators known as the Gunapatma Badis. Gunapatma Badis. They accept people, these people accept the material body, which is the bag of the three elements, gunapi triya dutuke, as accept these three elements as themselves. They think that Nityananda Prabhu's body was similarly material, and it was meant for sense gratification. Whoever thinks in this way is a candidate for the darkest regions of hell. Those who hanker after women, money, who are self-interested and have mentality of merchants, mendicants. They have the mentality of mendicants, can certainly discover many things with their fertile brains and speak against the authority of the revealed scriptures. They also engage in some money-making businesses to cheat innocent people, and they try to support their business by their business programs by making such offensive statements. Actually, Nityananda Prabhu, being an expansion of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, is the most magnificent incarnation. No one should consider him an ordinary person, an ordinary being or an entity. He is like the Prajapatis, who are ordered by Brahma to increase generations. No one should consider him as an ordinary being or ordinary entity like the Prajapatis, who are ordered by Brahma to increase generations. Nityananda Prabhu should not be considered instrumental for sense gratification. Although professional so-called preachers support this idea, such a statement is not found anywhere in the authorized scriptures, in the revealed scriptures. Actually, there is no support for these statements made by the sahajas or other professional distributors of Krishna Bhakti. See, the example here is the residents of Vrindavan and the residents of Mayapur. Most of them, their grihastas, there wasn't many renunciants. And brahmacharya wasn't really accepted as the normal thing like in the villages, because they're Krishna conscious. In Vrindavan nowadays, they're already Krishna conscious. So they don't need to become brahmacharis. So that we see practically. Vrindavan, you ask that the boy is there, are they going to can take brahmacharya? It doesn't come up. So, but they're living in Vrindavan village and Navadvip, but they have no intention of becoming brahmacharis and things, because already they know Krishna, they love Krishna, they have service to Krishna. It's their last birth they've taken in Navadvip and Vrindavan. So they're showing the ideal Grihastha ashram. The ideal Grihastha ashram is Krishna's in the center. And they always remembering Krishna. So for that person, it's not necessary. But of course, we have the society has a lot to do with renunciation for the common people. And specifically, we see our acharyas. Prabhupada took sannyas, Bhaktisiddhanta sannyas, Gokishore, Paramahansa Vesh, Jagannath Das Bharati Paramahansa Vesh. He's Madhusudan, Paramahansa, they're all Paramahansa, they're all beyond the attachment and renunciation. So here's a society that Prabhupada introduced.
Varnashram.
if you want to give a name. But they're the examples. Vrindavan village is there, Navadvip village is there. But there wasn't many renunciants. But they were living in society, using society to expand Krishna consciousness.
The acharyas show, or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and other acharyas, they show the example of in a contrast.
Oh.
Different, like they take up renunciation and they encourage others to take up renunciation. In Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, like, so how do you understand this? And as you say, like, those who are born here, those who are born and they don't need renunciation because they already had doing devotional service. So how do we understand the two things together? Two opposite.
B.B. Govinda Maharaj. He was walking, doing parikrama. Then one little boy, Brajabasi boy, he started talking to him, this little boy. Then he said, "You want to come back to Vrindavan with us?" He said, "What?" He said, "You can come back, we'll take you back to Vrindavan." And, this boy said, "Vrindavan? What, with that rascal Krishna? I'm not going back." He's only this big. There's so much love for Krishna was there that we want that Krishna consciousness, that attraction for Radha, for Krishna. Like that. Though it's naturally there. We're going back to that village. So that's their Krishna consciousness, also already there from previous births. Text 43. More time. Text 43. Nityananda Prabhu was given assistants like Ram Das, Gadadhar Das, and several others. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu said, "I give them to you to assist you." I shall go to see you at intervals, keeping myself invisible. I shall watch you dance. A mother is not offended by a mad son, and knowing this, my mother is not offended by me. I had no business in accepting the renounced order, and actually my love for my mother, which is my real property. Actually, I was in a very crazy state of mind when I accepted sannyas. I am staying here at Jagannath Puri, Nilachal, to comply with her orders, but at intervals, I go to see her lotus feet. Indeed, I go there daily to see her lotus feet. She is able to feel my presence, although she does not believe it to be true. One day, my mother Sachi offered food to Shalagram Vishnu. She offered cooked rice from Shalipatis, various kinds of vegetables, spinach, curries made of banana flowers, fried potol with neem leaves, pieces of ginger with lemon, and also yogurt, milk, sugar, candy, and other foods, many other foods. Taking the food upon her lap, Mother was crying to think that all the food was very dear to Nimai. And my mother was thinking, Nimai is not here. Who will accept this food? As she meditated upon me in this way, her eyes full of tears. And while she was thus thinking and crying, I immediately went there with great haste and ate everything. Seeing the dish empty, she wiped away her tears. Then she began to wonder whether she had eaten the food. Why is the plate empty? She wondered, doubting that Balagopal had eaten it all. She began to wonder whether there had actually been anything on the plate in the first place. Then again she thought that some animal may have come in and eaten everything. She thought perhaps by mistake I did not put any food on the plate. So thinking, she went into the kitchen and she saw the pots. When she saw all the pots were still filled and vegetables, with rice and vegetables, there was some doubt in her mind and she was astonished. Thus wondering, she called Ishan, the servant, and had the place cleaned again, and she offered another plate to Gopala. Now whenever she prepares some good cooked food and wants to feed it to me, she cries in great anxiety. Being obliged by her love, I am brought here to eat. Mother knows all these things internally and feels happiness, but externally she doesn't accept them. Such an incident took place on the last Vijay Dasami. When you ask her about the incident and thus make her believe that I actually go there, you can ask her about this incident and thus make her believe that I actually go there. While describing all this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu became a little overwhelmed, but he had just finished bidding farewell to the devotees. He remained silent. Mahaprabhu appears 3 places.
Shiva Sangam,
At Shiva Sangam when there's dancing and kirtan.
of Nityananda, Raghav's kitchen, and Sachimata's 4 places.
4. And Sachimata is cooking. Wherever they are cooking. She will be there. And wherever Nityananda Prabhu is dancing, the Lord will presently be present there. While describing all this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu became a little overwhelmed. But just to finish, bidding farewell to the devotees, he remained patient. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then spoke some relishful words to Raghav Pandit. He said, I am obliged to you due to your pure love for me.
Raghav Pandit, who used to bring food for Chaitanya.
Raghav, yeah,
Jali.
Raghav Jali. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then informed everyone, just hear about the devotional service rendered to Krishna by Raghav Pandit. Indeed, Raghav Pandit's service is supremely pure and highly accomplished. Text 70. Apart from other commodities, just hear about the offering of coconuts. A coconut is sold at the rate of 5 gandas each. Although he already has hundreds of trees and millions of fruits, he is still very eager to hear about the place where the sweet coconuts are available. He collects all the coconuts with great endeavor from a place 20 miles away, and he pays 4 annas for each of them. Every day, 5 to 7 coconuts are clipped and put into water to keep cool. At the time of the offering of the bhoga, the coconuts are again clipped and cleansed. After holes are made in the top, they are offered to Lord Krishna.
The coconuts are kept in water?
2 times. Every day 5 or 7 coconuts are clipped and put in water to keep cool.
How long it should be kept in water to make it cool?
How long it takes to cool the coconuts down. The servant carries them on his head in the basket, so that the basket must be covered. But in the sunshine, he walks 20 miles. So I guess a couple of hours. Then at the time of offering bhoga, the coconuts are clipped again and cleansed. Clip. They can cut the top portion off, make it easier for making a hole. The first clip, maybe he clips the bottom so they can stand up straight. Then the second time he washes them and then clips the top, and then makes a hole in it. Then Lord Krishna drinks the juice from these coconuts, and sometimes the coconuts are left drained of juice, and at other times the coconuts are filled with juice. They remain filled with juice. When Raghava Pandit sees the juice has been drunk from the coconuts, he is very pleased. He then breaks the coconuts and takes out the pulp and puts it on another plate. After offering the pulp, he meditates outside the temple door. In the meantime, Lord Krishna, having eaten the pulp, leaves the plate empty. Sometimes, after eating the pulp, Krishna fills the plate again with new pulp. In this way, the faith of Raghava Pandit increases, and he floats in an ocean of nectar. One day it so happened that about 10 coconuts were properly clipped and bought by a servant to offer to the deity. When the coconuts were brought there was a little time to offer them because it was already late. The servant holding the container of coconuts remained standing near the door. Raghava Pandit then saw that the servant touched the ceiling above the door, and then he touched the coconuts with the same hand. Brahmin. Raghava Pandit then said, people are always coming and going through the door, and the dust from their feet blows upwards and touches the ceiling. And after touching the ceiling of the door, you have touched the coconuts. Now they are no longer fit to be offered, because now they are contaminated. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that Raghava Pandit was not simply a crazy fellow, suffering from some cleansing phobia. He did not belong to the material world. In lower consciousness of accepting something to be spiritual that is actually material is called Bhoma Jiyadi. Raghava Pandit was an eternal servant of Krishna, and everything he saw was related to the service of the Lord. He was always absorbed in transcendental thought of how he could always serve Krishna with everything. Sometimes neophyte devotees on the lower platform try to imitate Raghava Pandit on the platform of material purity and impurity. Such imitation will not help anyone, as explained in the Caitanya Caritamrita, Antilila 4174. On the transcendental platform, there is no higher or lower, pure or impure. On the material platform, distinction is made between good and bad. But on the spiritual platform, everything is of the same quality. In the material world, conceptions of good or bad are all mental speculations. Therefore, saying it is good and that is bad, it's all a mistake. C.C. Antalila 4176. In the service of Raghava Pandit, such is the service of Raghava Pandit. He did not accept coconuts and he threw them over the wall. His service is purely based on unalloyed love, and he conquered the whole world. Thereafter, Raghava Pandit had other coconuts gathered, cleansed and clipped, and then with great attention he offered them to the deity to eat. In this way he collected from different villages excellent bananas, mangoes, oranges, jackfruits, and what other first-class fruits he had heard about. All these fruits are collected from different places and bought at a high price. After trimming them with great care and purity, Raghava Pandit offers to the deity. Thus, with great care and attention, Raghava Pandit prepares spinaches, other vegetables, radishes, fruits, chipped rice, powdered rice, and sweetmeats. He prepares cakes, sweet rice, condensed milk, and everything else with great attention. The cooking conditions are purified so that the food is actually first class and delicious. Raghava Pandit also offers all kinds of pickles, such as kashamdi. He offers various scents, garments, ornaments, and the best of everything. Raghava Pandit serves the Lord in an incomparable way. Everyone very much satisfied just to see him. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then mercifully embraced Raghava Pandit. The Lord also accepted. The Lord also offered all the other devotees a farewell with similar respect. The Lord also respectfully told Shivananda Sen, "Take care of Vasudeva Dutt very nicely." Vasudeva Dutt is very liberal every day. Whatever income he receives, he spends. He does not keep any balance. Being a householder, Vasudeva needs to save some money. Because he is not doing so, it is very difficult for him to maintain his family. Please take care of Vasudeva Dutt's family affairs, become his manager, and make the proper adjustments. Purport. Vasudeva Dutt and Shivananda Sen were living in the same neighborhood, which is presently called Koramaharta or Halishara. Madhavendra Puri's birthplace. Come here every year and bring all of my devotees with them to the Gundicha festival. I also request you to maintain all of them. The Lord then with great respect extended the invitation to the inhabitants of Kulinagram, Navadip. I think it's the present-day Navadip town. The inhabitants of Kulinagram asking them to come every year and bring silken robes to carry Lord Jagannath during the Rath Yatra festival. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Gunaraj Khan of Kalindigram compiled a book named Sri Krishna Vijaya, in which there is a sentence revealing the author's ecstatic love for Krishna. Purport. Sri Krishna Vijaya is a book of poems considered to be the first poetry book written in Bengal. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that this book was begun in the year 1395, Shakabda, AD 1437. After 7 years, it was completed in 1402, Sakabda. This book was written in plain language, and even half-educated Bengalis and women could read it very clearly. Even ordinary people with little knowledge of the alphabet would read this book and understand it. Its language is not very ornamental, and sometimes the poetry is not very sweet to hear. Although according to the sonnet style, each line should contain 14 syllables. There are sometimes 16 and sometimes 13 syllables in this verse. Many words used in those days to be understood only by local inhabitants. Yet this book is still so popular that no bookstore is complete without it. It is very valuable for those who are interested in advancing Krishna consciousness. Sri Gunaraj Khan, one of the topmost Vaishnavas, and he has translated the 10th and 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam for the understanding of the common man. The book, Sri Krishna Vijay, is highly praised by Caitanya Mahaprabhu and is very valuable for all the Vaishnavas. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives a genealogical table of the family history of Gunaraj Khan. When a Bengali emperor named Adishura first came from Kanyakubja or Kanauj, he brought with him 5 brahmanas and 5 kayastas. 5 brahmanas and 5 kayastas. Since the king is supposed to be accompanied by his associates, the brahmanas accompanied the king to help him in higher spiritual matters. The kayastas were to render other services. In the northern Indian high country, the kayastas were accepted as sudras. But in Bengal, the kayastas are considered amongst the higher class. It is a fact that the kayasta came to Bengal from northern India, specifically from Kanyakubja, Kanauj. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the kayastas who came from Kanauj were high-class men. One of them, Dasaratha Basu, was a great personality, and in the 13th century of his family, 13th generation in his family, included Gunaraj Khan. His real name was Maladhara Basu, but the title Khan was given him by the former emperor. But the title of Khan was given to him by the former emperor of Bengal. Thus he became known as Gunaraj Khan. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following genealogical table of Gunaraj Khan. 1. Dasharat Basu. 2. Kushala. 3. Shubhak Shankara. 4. Hamsa. 5. Shaktirama Baganda. 5. Muktirama Bayangara and Alankara Bangala. Alankara, Bangala. Number 6, Damodar. 7, Anantarama. 8, Guniyaka and Vishayaka. The 12th generation included Bhagirata, the 13th Maladhara Basu or Gunaraj Khan. Sri Gunaraj Khan had 14 sons, of whom the second son, Lakshmananath Basu, received the title of Satyaraj Khan. He was the son of Sri Ramananda Basu. Therefore, Ramananda Basu belonged to the 15th generation. Gunaraj Khan was very well known and a wealthy man. His place and fort and temples are still existing, and from these we can understand that the opulence of Gunaraj Khan was certainly very great. Shri Gunaraj Khan never cared for artificial aristocracy introduced by Balal Sen. Okay, so we'll finish today. The chapter Sababuna, Bhattacharya offers Prashadam. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Thank you everyone. If there's anyone there listening.